Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
First world, come in and take a seat. Pay us no attention, it's all conspiracy. We have satire and parody, some funny, some perverse. If none of it's offensive to you, you'd be the first.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's Thursday night. It is the Creative Cranium. I got two great guests tonight, and I can't wait to talk to them. Please welcome fantasy novelist Steve Guglich and comic titan Pat Shand. How you guys doing?
I hear you double. I feel like you're playing somewhere else too.
Yeah.
Are you on your side?
I can hear it too.
I got it.
What's up, man?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Hey guys, great to be here tonight.
Thanks for coming over. I wanted to take some time tonight, and the first thing is congrats to both of you on your recent projects. Before I launch right into that, for the viewers that don't know, let's go around the room real quick. Just introduce yourself and tell us the project that you're most known for. Start with you, Steve.
I'm Steve Guglich. I am relatively new to publishing, or definitely new to publishing. I launched my first book, Piercing the Veil, the first book in the Veil Saga series, on March 31st. And I love to write fantasy and science fiction. So this has been quite the adventure for me.
Yeah, congrats on the book, Steve. It looks
Thank
terrific.
you.
Move over to Pat. Pat, tell us who you are for those of us that don't know.
Hello, I'm Pat Shand. I'm on Kickstarter right now. I run Space Between Entertainment, we have my buddy Hoyt here. We have I Summon Cthulhu to fund my Kickstarter #1 on my main account, and on our new imprint, Cheeky Comics. We have our debut Cheeky Comics Annual 2023 that kicks off 3 brand new titles that we're going to be rolling out this year. But I believe that I'm mostly here to talk about Cthulhu, which is ending tomorrow around this time.
Right,
Awesome.
right. And that's we're going to work that into our conversations. The first thing when we start out, I did want to ask you this question. Here's a quick look at I Summon Cthulhu to fund my Kickstarter.
Yes.
Man, this looks like a terrific project, Pat. I got to imagine you get a lot of interest from publishers. Would that be a correct statement?
Yeah.
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 So I'm going to ask you the big question first. Why self-publish?
Why self-publish? The truth is that there was a time when people came to Kickstarter in hopes to eventually publish the book through a publisher to get into the direct market. There was a time when Kickstarter was where we would take pitches that publishers didn't pick up. That time is gone. Now Kickstarter lets us eliminate the space between ourselves, the readers, ourselves and people who want our content, ourselves and collectors too. The direct market has its own issues, and the time when creators like us have to go to a publisher's door and the shit's gone. You know, we are in control of it all now. We can do better for ourselves than publishers can do for us by a mile. I don't make 10 times more on Kickstarter than I make in the direct market. I make over 100 times more. There's no comparison.
You know, that's what I wanted the conversation to steer towards. You know Charlie Stickney, right?
Charlie Stickney, I sure do. In fact, I got a page of Cthulhu today with his likeness in it. His character, in real life, he makes the book Galarian and White Ash. His character in our parody makes a book called Horny Elves, which pretty much the same, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. What I was headed toward was he often makes the statement about how modern creators are probably better to, I'm going to mess up his words, but the gist of it is modern creators are better to pursue a path toward their own self-publishing and than they would be to beg from a publisher. So,
yeah, there's just no comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. So Steve, let's jump over to you, man. So Piercing the Veil, the new fantasy novel by Steve Guglich. It looks terrific. My question to you, self-publishing, right? Did you approach publishers at all, or tell me about the path that you plan for Piercing the Veil?
Well, when I got the idea for the Veil Saga, I mulled it over. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I thought, you know, this story is going to sell no matter what. I think it's you know, not to toot my own horn, but I think it's just such a great and original story. I had no doubt that it was good, that it was going to, you know, that somebody would pick it up. But then I heard Dave Farland. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a famous artist. Famous author. He passed away last year, but he was a big guru in writing. He was actually Brandon Sanderson's writing teacher in college, and I heard him talk about his Rune Lord series that he did. And when he sold at the tour, he told them, "I got 3 books. That's it. I got 3 books." Well, they forced him to write, I think, 9 books, and he just the last 6 just tanked, and he was like, if I could have self-published, I would have. And that was kind of the thing that really checked that box and solidified it for me. And I said, okay, I'm going to self-publish. I don't want anybody telling me I need to write more. I don't want anybody telling me what I need to have in there, what I don't need to have in there. I wanted to write my book my way. And that was really where I finally decided to go and do that.
Welcome, Jason Sandberg, creator of Jupiter.
Good evening.
You're live right now also, right? I'll get that up on screen too. And I tell you what,
Thank you.
Jason jumped right in the water. Here's where we were, right? And now tell me if I get any of your scenario wrong, because we kind of just met each other. But so Jupiter was published once before, right? And now you're going to self-publish.
Well, actually, I self-published it in the late 90s as a black and white indie comic book. It ran 9 issues, was distributed through Diamond. And it was a unique situation where the sales didn't go down, but they didn't go up. And Diamond liked the book a lot, right? They actually supported the book several different ways. And I did these targeted promotions with them where we would look at the marketing and we'd say, hey, what comic book shops sell the most, which 200 shops sell the most of like 8-ball? And we would put together these promo packs. We'd send them out, and like it wouldn't move the needle. We tried that a couple different times, and I just kind of said, you know what? I'm getting mixed signals. The people that are getting their hands on it, they love it. They're continuing to read it, but I can't move the needle, right? So I kind of hit pause on that one. And so flash forward to 2019, and the era of crowdfunding is here, and I realized that crowdfunding is more direct than the direct market.
Right. Well, it sounds like we have all lurched into a type of agreement about the crowdfunding. And yeah, hey man, Jason, that book looks terrific. So you did this too, right? You just finished Indiegogo, and then it's Victory Lap on Kickstarter.
I've got like 24. I got 24 or 25 more days left on Indiegogo. So I extended an additional 30. And I know as I was in the green room there, you were talking about like why self-publish. And one on top of the reasons that Steve and Pat mentioned, my reason is that if I was working for a publisher, they would tell me you can't put a pie ad in your comic book for a pie company that doesn't exist, because no one's paying for the advertising. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. The best part about, if you're going through the back issue bins and you pick up a comic book and it has a pie ad in the back, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a good comic book. So I have a fictitious pie ad here.
You had me a pie ad. Yeah, that's terrific. So
that's on top of the other reasons. There you go.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm following this closely too, because I'm following the paths of people that do Kickstarter, then Indiegogo, or vice versa. But let's circle back to Pat. Okay, we're talking a little bit about I summoned Cthulhu to fund my Kickstarter, and that's going to be how much longer we got there, Pat?
Not long, man. 25 hours. We're going to end at, I believe, 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. tomorrow. I forget how they do the hours.
Gotcha. Do you time yours to end at certain times?
Yeah, usually 10, but I'm thinking maybe I chose 11 this time, because when Steamy was ending last month, it was going crazy in the last few minutes. I was like, I wish we had one more hour tonight. But
okay, well, let's ask this question too. Like I say, we've a couple of you guys have done these other broadcasts and stuff with me, and sometimes we're trying to attract customers, and sometimes we're talking about stuff for other creators. And in this case, these are more creator type questions, and I come by it honestly because I really want to know these things. And for Pat, I'd have this question. Tell us a little bit about this. You have a Kickstarter coaching tier. I would think that based on the numbers you're putting up, somebody like me would have to be very interested in this. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I do my normal business that I can either advise on or run creators' Kickstarters. I ran Terry Moore's this year, which was watching that one grow was amazing. He's obviously a veteran, a legend.
Sure.
I've worked with publishers and other creators to run or advise, and I have my set tiers about how I do this. I have my way where you can buy in, and the lowest price is $100, highest price is about $1,800. But I wanted to offer something a bit more digestible through this, because it's a Kickstarter themed Kickstarter. So I thought it'd be cool to sell for $50 a one-on-one 20-minute Zoom. You get to ask me anything that you want about crowdfunding, present your screen to me, show me what you're working on, show me your campaign. I'll react to it live with you and really just dig into what I think works and what I think needs work, and give you the best value for that dollar amount that I believe a creator can. I have a lot of experience here with 30 campaigns of my own, and many more when you factor in the ones that I've run for everyone else. And this is very limited though, because I don't want to make this an ongoing part of business. It's just through this Kickstarter for 2 days.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Cool.
Now, would that only be for like comic creators or any Kickstarter? Like
any Kickstarter, yeah.
Wow. Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, Pat, are you a novelist too? I couldn't remember when Steve asked me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, gotcha.
Excellent.
The reason why I say is because my second thing this year is the other novel. And Steve, tell you what, let's jump back to Steve. First thing, Steve, how many books in the Piercing the Veil? It's like a trilogy or something.
Yeah. So the Veil Saga, the first part it'll be several different trilogies or add-ons after the first trilogy. So the main part, the Veil Saga, is 3 books, and then I have ideas for all these other books that would offshoot after that.
Gotcha. And to circle back to the self-publishing thing, like, so first of all, congrats, man, on your first one. I watched with great interest. What are some that maybe you learned as a first-time novelist using Kickstarter that you might want to share with a new creator?
Oh gosh, okay. Well, I would say do your research. I mean, certainly get in there and get as much exposure as possible. I only did my pre-launch a month ahead of time, and I looking back, I'd probably do more than just a month. I'd probably go back a couple of months. Pat would probably be able to advise on that better than I would, but that's what I would do. I mean, I was only up there for a month, and I didn't quite make that 100. I was hoping to get 100 people in that month, and I didn't quite make that.
I usually do 2 weeks. I haven't done the month. I know some people say a month. Pat, is it a month or 2 weeks?
I mean, it depends how long you have. I would say I wouldn't probably go more than a month personally.
Oh, really? Okay.
But the truth is, though, that it depends on the frequency with which you're kickstarting. Like, for example, I am wrapping this one on Friday tomorrow, and I'm launching again on Tuesday. So that one I'll only be able to have up earliest possible Saturday.
Wow.
So it's important pre-launches, but it's really what you do with it. To me, the best method is to bring your pre-launch link into BackerKit launch. Now, I don't advise using BackerKit's reward survey service.
Why not? Hold on. I want to ask that question. Everybody else says use it. Why does Pat Shinn say don't use it?
I don't find it user-friendly. I don't find that they really provide value but what they're doing is they're charging you a percentage, not of what you make through them only. They're charging you a percentage of what you made on Kickstarter. So if I made 100,000, I pay them more for the same service than what someone who made 10,000 makes. That makes no sense. They're not doing a different service. They're not providing more value to me than they would to someone who made a fraction of what I made. So
some of these things are easy to do yourself.
Yes, and Kickstarter's survey system, people have critiqued it. I find it to be perfectly useful. So that I don't personally like. And the one bonus that they had was they had an add-on store. Kickstarter has solved that problem. They have a perfectly functional add-on store with images now. To me, there's no reason to use that service. Other people disagree. I am strong in what I say here, but BackerKit's launch service, it's a different service. They don't take a percentage. You pay them $99 one time. You go there and you create email campaigns. You could do it pre-launch, on launch, during the campaign, last 48 hours. Just blast an email to everyone who's back to one of your previous campaigns after you load it all up. And then the best part is that as these go along, when you do your second blast, launch targets people who have not backed to your campaign yet. They won't annoy people who have backed over and over and over again. They market for only people who you can actually impact.
Okay.
Wow.
That to me is a great service. And I think that what makes it proof positive that it's very impactful is that this new campaign I have, Cheeky Comics Annual, this is an imprint of my company. It's done through a different Kickstarter account. In 30 campaigns, I have built my main account for a long time. I've only done 4 other on different accounts, 5 including this one now.
Gotcha.
This was my second biggest day one ever on a brand new campaign that has no history. I just went to launch, mass message my previous backers, and boom. The impact is absolutely insane. So that is an invaluable tool.
Yeah.
So would you recommend that $99 BackerKit promo for someone who's never done a Kickstarter? Would it even work?
No, that wouldn't work because it wouldn't go to anybody as far as that goes. Unless what you can do, if you have mailing lists and access to a log of emails, you can upload that. But in that case, I would just say email your mailing list.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
But the cool part about this is that it attacks multiple different campaigns in a very nuanced way that avoids annoyance. And I think that annoyance avoidance on Kickstarter is so necessary. I know the creators by name, and some of them I love, but when I get one of their messages, I'm like, oh, here we go, because they have it lined up where they'll have different tabs. They have update for every campaign. They copy and paste everyone, and they go post, 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 post. So when the first post comes in, I'm like, here we go, bro, and it rains down on you. You know, that I don't really think is the best way to communicate to our fans. Backgate launch, though, removes the need for that.
Nice.
These are some good tips. Thanks, Pat.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump back to Jason. I got a question for you, because to me this seemed, well, there's different ways to do things, of course, but you did Indiegogo first. Well, actually, your order goes published through Diamond first as a black and white, correct?
Oh, back in the 90s, yeah. Not current. Yeah.
But then you went to Indiegogo first and then to Kickstarter. Is that correct? But in your case,
yeah,
it run simultaneously.
Right. And so because I'm new and essentially new, because I'm essentially new and I was on target. I had a good trajectory going on Indiegogo as far as I was concerned as a new creator. I was basically I'm doing an experiment on Kickstarter where I put the book on Kickstarter, but I'm not doing any like marketing or advertising to see what the organically what happens. And, just, I got 2 backers, right? So I'm doing this Kickstarter.
This just started today, right? Is that correct? Or a couple days ago?
No, a couple of days back, a couple weeks back, actually. So,
Gotcha.
I'm kind of doing an experiment just to see what happens on Kickstarter if I just put a book there.
I want to see that too,
but I'm
because
putting all
they
my-
say generally to run it on Kickstarter first and then do the organic on Indiegogo, but yours is kind of backwards. When I say backwards, keep in mind that there's no right or wrong way to do any of these things.
Right,
That's why we're discussing it. But I guess what I want to know is, how did you decide that?
Well, so a year and a half ago or so, I was looking at the 2 platforms, and at the time I decided to go with Indiegogo because of the in-demand option. And so I had my sign up going, and I was pushing all the traffic towards there. So then, as I got deeper into this, I got a lot of people encouraging me, saying, "Hey, just put it on Kickstarter." And so I'm not splitting. I'm focusing all my advertising and my marketing, my social media towards the Indiegogo, and just kind of doing an experiment to see what happens on Kickstarter. So, I mean, right now it's not too impressive, but it's just, I wanted to see what if I put a book in Kickstarter and put it in the comic section, would it ricochet around? What would be the organic reach? So I probably won't take that approach on the next book, but it was just an experiment I wanted to run.
I'm following that one with great interest, brother, because I've been trying some stuff like that too. All right, bouncing back to Steve, right? So the next up for you is Piercing the Veil. What is there a title for the second book yet?
Right now, the working title is The Veil Asunder.
Okay. And when should we look for that?
I'm hoping, maybe next year towards the end or the year after. It all depends. Being a full-time principal, full-time dad, full-time husband, the only time I get to write is pretty much in the morning. Actually, this is my bedtime, guys, right now, because I get up.
Steve, man, I appreciate you coming, buddy. It's always good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Yeah, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I write for a couple of hours right before work, and that's kind of it. Yeah. So it's slow writing, but I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm just hoping Netflix calls and says, hey, here's your check. we want to turn this into a series. All right, sure.
The Brinks truck up to your house and just start shoveling money in. Speaking of Netflix, well, I guess maybe Pat can't talk about that too much just yet.
Well,
how much can you say about the TV elements? Or
I can
tell us a little bit about what's going on there,
and I can answer any questions for sure. If I can't, I'll just stop you. But my series Destiny New York, it's been my my primary work. I do one oversized graphic novel every year for 6 years now. We're going to be doing volume 7 this year. It is about a girl who had a prophecy made about her when she was young. She completes her destiny when she's just 13. Now she's entering into her 30s, trying to figure out life post-Destiny. It has been picked up for a TV show by Tegan and Zara, who have an overall deal with Sony. Been working on this for a while now, and it's been announced. And there's a writer's strike going on right now.
Who writes the show? Do you know that yet?
Do I know that yet? I know that
Like you're gonna have there's gonna be a couple of screenwriters or a team or anything. What is that going to be?
Well,
like?
it will definitely be a more traditional TV structure where there's a showrunner and a writer's room. I don't know who will be in the writer's room. I have been part of a conversation where showrunners were spoken about.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Wow.
Thank you.
Congrats.
And
on that.
What's it called again?
It's Destiny,
It's,
New York.
Yes, Destiny, New York. Okay.
Nice.
That's the one I have.
It's a great book. It's a great premise too. It's a great angle.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, Jason, tell me a little bit more. So you talked about getting your book into the previews catalog the first time. And you said it was what, the 90s?
Yep. Yeah, in 1999 to 2000, ran 9 issues. And I'm actually right now, this weekend, I started working on the UPC barcode for when I send the book, the proposal to Diamond to distribute this new one. So I'm beginning to work on that, getting my ducks in a row to send that off. The current Indiegogo campaign's got like 25 days left, and the book is 95% done. So I'm gonna print another copy of this thing with the UPC and send it off to Diamond and Lunar and see if they're interested in distributing it. And then obviously I'll take the overprint after I fulfill and so forth, and just find other avenues to sell it.
Yeah, and I want to say, so I've had a chance finally to look through some of this Jupiter material, and Jason, it's terrific, man. It's
thank you.
I love to say that my book's kind of trippy and on the surreal side, but yours even more so. I really dig it, man, and I like the Silver Age coloring scheme. I don't know if that's exactly what you would call that. Yeah. How would you?
So Silver Age, Silver Bronze Age coloring. Basically, there's parts of the book that are diegetic. It's a comic book within a comic book. So for those sections, there's like 5 or 6 pages. I drew it in the style of Jack Kirby, and then I worked with my printer to get these color patches where I would get the effect of the dot and the flexographic printing. Without it being garish. So I had a lot of fun doing that, and it turned out pretty well.
There's a look at that.
Oh yeah, look at that. Wow, that is definitely Kirby-esque.
Yeah,
so you do, Jason, you do the artwork as well as the writing?
Yeah, the writing, the artwork, the inking, the lettering. I do everything, including the typos. No, just kidding. There's no typos. I do it all. Yep. Nice. Yeah, and so basically it's on Indiegogo. We're approaching $5,200, and I'm working on a stretch goal behind the scenes. I'll be announcing that hopefully on next week for the last like 3 weeks of the campaign, and then obviously I've got the Kickstarter there, and obviously I need to apprentice under Pat to figure out how to crack the code on Kickstarter. But this is my first campaign, and so far, on top of how well it's doing, it has been great just like networking and meeting people. Everybody on like every live stream I've been on, it's just been fantastic. And I like to juxtapose my experience talking to people and being on live streams with things I hear about the professional industry. And I think it's definitely not crabs in a bucket. Everybody here has been, it has been great, and it's been a lot of fun. So
you made a good point the other day, Jason, when we were on the Madness CromCon.
Okay.
And it was, where I'm going with this is it applies to you very much, that some of the allure of these projects is highly dependent on the level of enthusiasm that we promote them with. And some of us, are sort of, all of us in this room come across, I would say, as very enthusiastic promoters and really believing in our own material. And I definitely think you give off that vibe. And there's something cool about Jupiter, man. So definitely audiences, I recommend that. Let's jump back real quick to I Summoned Cthulhu to fund my Kickstarter. This looks terrific. And Pat, I know a little bit of the background of this, but why don't you tell us a little bit about how for example, how the comic creators are featured in it?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So the idea is, it's sort of like we pitch it as This Is the End meets the comics industry, where we take actual comic book creators, they are the characters, and it follows a group of writers as they pledge to these dark gods for comic book success. And then chaos follows. these dark gods each represent a trend in the comics industry. So there's Cthulhu, there's the goddess of bad girls, like the 90s style bad girls.
Nice.
There's the goddess of sexy variant covers, and so on. All these trends that have become dominant in comics for the past maybe like 30 or 40 years are all lovingly made fun of and also embraced in this book. And a lot of my friends are in there. I thought that, I've met a crazy cast of characters in real life in my travels in the comics industry. So I wanted to bring them into here and show some of those personalities, maybe give my audience a taste of what they can do while also making fun of them.
It looks terrific. I did see a couple of those panels, and the first thing is you can recognize them, and it's just they're great cameos.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, and some of them are major characters. Like Charlie Stickney is going to be a major character. Raven Gregory is a pretty big character.
I can't wait
in multiple
for that.
ways.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah,
That'll be the best part. So viewers, that's I Summon Cthulhu to fund my Kickstarter. Go over and check that one out. So the different tiers, how many tiers do you average in a campaign, would you say?
It really depends on the IP. Like my next Kickstarter is for a hardcover, which is As of the Barbed. So that's gonna be more just based around the hardcover and different tiers that enrich it with, a smaller reward here and there. And the artist Real Burden is also running the campaign with me, so she's doing actual physical art the backers can get. Whereas this is a single issue, full color, so we're doing a bunch of variants, and the rewards are more cover based.
How many? How many variants on I Summon Cthulhu to fund my Kickstarter?
6 total covers.
6. Okay, that's not too ridiculous.
No, yeah, we do. On this, we do 6 and plus 1 medal.
Oh, nice.
Metal. Wow.
Yeah, I dig the metal. So let's see. Jump back to Steve. I think it's Steve's turn to answer a question. So Steve, so you're a little bit of a one-man show too, right? And like I haven't, again, I ask these questions honestly, right? I'm getting ready to jump into the novelist water. I did this thing last year. It was the NaNoWriMo. If you ever heard of it.
NaNoWriMo, yeah.
Yeah. So and I finished it. So but
awesome.
then I found something out, and here's the question that I got to ask Steve. When you, and we'll throw this over to Pat then too, but when you go to find an editor, first of all, how do you find that person? Because you got to get somebody with clout, right? Or you're wasting your time.
Mm-hmm.
And do you look at your editor for like story and pacing and stuff like that, or mostly grammatical things? Tell us about the editors.
I got to tell you, I was so blessed with my editor. And here's, I went out on a limb. One of my favorite authors is F. Paul Wilson. He wrote the Repairman Jack books. Fantastic series. And I saw that he did some editing. So I contacted him one day just out of the blue to find out if he was available. And he said, no, he doesn't do that kind of stuff anymore. But he recommended his editor, Patrick Labruto. And I got to talking to Patrick, and I looked at Patrick's pedigree, and I'm like, holy cow. I mean, when you go on Wikipedia and look up this guy's pedigree, I mean, he won the award for fantasy editing a few years back, and I mean he's been Stephen King's editor. I mean, and he's been and I'm like, are you serious that this guy's gonna want to actually work for me? And he did, and he was, oh man, he was so much fun to work with. He had some great great insight, great all sorts of. I mean, it was great. It was so. I was really
so now. What do you do here? Send the guy a chapter at a time. You don't send the whole thing all at once, right?
Well, he works very differently than most other editors. He was pretty much mine to use for any way I possibly wanted. I mean, and he just charged a flat fee. And I could send him updates. I could call him and say, "What do you think of this idea?" So he did the whole thing. It was a little more than you would spend on your typical editor. But for me, doing my first book as a first-time writer, I mean, it was invaluable. He had the insight that he had. It was just great.
Can I ask you? And for a good level editor, what's the bill on something like that? I mean, they pretty much start at $5,000, right?
Yeah, somewhere. Well, I mean, I would say anywhere between 4 and
Up
up.
to
I
10,
mean,
yeah, 10
yeah,
plus.
he charges a flat rate of 6,000, but what you get for 6,000 compared to what you get with, I mean, like I said, he does it all. He does the, the gosh, I can't even think of the types of editing, but with the creative editing, that's not the right word I'm looking for.
Well, I think I know what
yeah.
you're saying, and I'll ask you know,
Yeah.
because I get hit up by editors all the time now, and basically the deal is what they're really telling you is they're grammatical proofreaders and book builders, and I am very interested in the type of story pacing and professional development type things, but less so the.
Yeah.
Jason, how about you?
Developmental editor,
You're
that's
your
the
own
thing.
editor, right? Jason?
What I'll do is, I'll have people beta read it. Before I color it, I'll have people check the artwork, make sure the artwork isn't wonky, and then check for typos and things like that, and get feedback. And then I'll have another group of people read it after it's colored, and kind of when I think it's like 95% done, I'll have them take another look at it and give me and mark it up and so forth. And I've got some people with
Can you give a little detail? What do you mean by mark it up? What in your mind? What are they doing?
Yeah, I'll basically take I'll print a copy like this, and then I'll say, hey, go after it with the red pen. And that's where, because as an artist, if you're looking at something too long, you begin to lose some of the gestalt. So
Agreed.
they'll say, hey, this arm looks too short, things like that. And then obviously feedback on the dialogue and so forth.
Gotcha. Pat, how about you? Who's your editor?
Shannon Lee is the editor of all my titles, The Space Between. She's been doing it since Destiny New York Volume 1. On our Cheeky Comics imprint, we have a secondary editor as well, Steve J. And now the Destiny New York stuff, we have an assistant editor, Jeff Massey. They all have different roles. Steve is just getting training on his stuff. So he is giving feedback on, things at the earlier phases as far as, what direction we're going with certain titles, characters. Shannon is looking at art as it comes in and critiquing it with me, and she'll, fight me on some story points and help me shape our overall publishing slate. And Jeff Massey will read my scripts and comment on the dialogue as I do those. And sometimes I'll do a writer's room where we talk about, they look at my general direction for a certain volume of something that's kind of ongoing, like Smoke We See the Future or Destiny New York, and they'll chime in on my, long-term choices here and there and give feedback. So they all have different uses and different functions. Catching typos is definitely a main one. Jeff is probably best at that because he is a doctor in English. He was actually my teacher in college. And when I was a staff writer and editor at Zenescope, I brought him in to do a short story, and then he ended up doing some miniseries for them. And I thought he was a great writer, so I brought him on to do some writing for me and some editing as well.
Interesting. And since you kind of touched on it, do you mind if I ask, I don't know, how did you first get started with Zenescope?
Funny enough, I had written a short Angel story, the spinoff of Buffy for IDW. And I was looking for something that was a natural fit to go to next. And Zenescope had Charmed. And a friend of mine figured out how to contact the editor-in-chief of Zenescope by looking at his email from the salesman. And he showed how the name fit in with the email structure. And I plugged in the editor-in-chief's name and talked to him that way, and it immediately worked. I was given an opportunity on Charmed first, but that didn't end up happening for years. It was originally going to be a 3-issue miniseries between their big season 9 and season 10, and instead, Paul Roditis, who was the writer on season 9, didn't want to continue, so they just ended up giving me season 10, which ran for 20 issues. But while I was waiting, they gave me some one-shots miniseries with Robin Hood and Godstorm. And after Robin Hood #1 was scripted, they offered me staff writer. And I had a 2-year exclusive with them that I extended for, I believe, a total of 4 or 5 years.
Oh, perfect.
Cool,
man. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, we're talking about self-publishing here tonight, and obviously some of the pitfalls that newer creators might encounter. I want to talk a little bit. Most of us either ship or in some way process our own books. I'm going to jump back over to Steve here. So how did you do your fulfillment for your Kickstarter campaign, Steve?
I call her my wife. My wife was awesome with this. I mean, we just, once Kickstarter was over, we got our funds and everything was filled. She just learned how to use the interface, and then I think she used Pirate Ship and just made daily trips to the post office, and gotcha. She just did such a great job. I mean, to do all that fulfillment. So
it's a lot of work.
It
How
is.
About you, Pat? Do you fulfill yours at all?
Oh yeah. I for the first time ever, I brought a team on, and they're all guys who work for the company now. We have not stopped fulfilling since we started. They started on Cheeky, which was my biggest campaign ever.
I was going to say, you always have something going, and it's like 700 backers every time. How many people are we talking on this team?
I have 3 main guys and a couple associates. So they did Cheeky with me, and that was kind of training, so it was a bit slower. So that took about a month. So we did Cheeky, move right to Prison Wish 3. We are finishing up Cerulean Dreams now, and we'll move right to Mixed Magical Martial Arts on Tuesday.
Wow.
Interesting. Okay, and Jason, how about that? Are you the same way, one-man show?
Yeah, it'll be a one-man show. I think I'm probably going to max out at like 300 backers, I'm thinking. So it should be manageable for me to do the fulfillment. I hope to have a bigger problem in the future, but right now I think I can handle it.
I'm not an expert or anything on this subject. First of all, man, we got to say hail to the chat, right? We've got Greg Levitra out there. Dude, good luck with your battle card set coming up. Looking forward to seeing that. He's got some great material. And also Cornerstone Ministry. Good to see you. What's up?
Cool.
So thanks for tuning in. We're talking about basically picking up some tips for self-publishing, and got a couple of pretty good ones. I was just going to make a quick comment that I used to fulfill all my books, and it's a lot of going to the post office. So when I got up to 100 customers, that was like a big order. And then it was 150. And then I guess it was Water Wars Volume 3 did 170 couple. And I went, you know what, man, I'm going to switch, and I'm going to pay the money and have it professionally fulfilled, because I'm really kind of by myself on that. And, you talk about 5, 6, 7 days in the row of going to the post office. It's like too much. I should be writing, right? So anyway, what did I switch to professional fulfillment? And during the space of it, I said, to make sure it's effective, I'll write a story. And that story became Call of the Cryptid, a cryptid-based visual adventure, illustrated by Erwin Arosa. You won't be disappointed if you check that one out. Give myself a quick plug. So that was my shot at trying to be more effective. That was done during the fulfillment of Water Wars. And that's how I got one to come out right after the other, because I was doing that in the cracks, so to speak. But I don't know if I will keep doing that or not. I guess we'll see. Steve, when you say Pirate Ship, that's like you download the software, right?
Yeah, I don't even think you have to download the software. It's all online. You just
tell me a little bit about the process of being a Pirate Ship user.
You just you take the spreadsheet that Kickstarter gives you, you upload it to that, and then Pirate Ship prints out all the labels for you, slap them on the boxes, and head to the post office.
All you need is a printer, really.
Yes, yeah. All you need is your own printer. That's it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so, Jason, when you got your book into Diamond the first time, so were you part of a studio or anything? Tell me about how you did that. That's because in the 90s, it was harder to get into Diamond.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was a one-man operation back then, even. But I used Brenner Printing in Texas, and Diamond would literally. There were so many indie publishers that used Brenner Printing in Texas that I didn't have to pay anything for shipping. They would back up a truck once a week, and they grab all the indie comic books out of Brenner Printing. So I didn't have much of a logistical challenge back in the 90s. Just paying for the copies they would ship to me. So it'll be a different situation this go round, but was not a problem back in the day.
Gotcha. All right, let's jump back to Pat. I want to talk a little bit more about I Summoned Cthulhu to fund my Kickstarter, just setting the world on fire over there on Kickstarter. I guess one of the questions I want to ask Pat is, you talked a little bit about some of the tropes that are in the comic industry, right? And one of the big ones is Cthulhu. And my first question is, why do you think that is? I wouldn't say Lovecraft is the most popular author. It's weird that it to me, it's kind of weird that that stuck. Why do you think it is?
I mean, that is the exact reason why I thought about this. You know, it was a trend that I it was like, why this one? You know, because like the sexy covers, I totally get. You know,
right.
I mean, in fact, it's weird that they aren't bigger. Like they're big, they're huge, but superheroes are so prominent in comics, and sex is so much more universal, you know. But superheroes dominate, you know. So it was always like kind of weird to me watching certain trends take. I mean, superheroes included. That has eclipsed trend because it's so big, you know. But that kind of thing too, where it's like, oh, what made this start? How did it start, and how did it get here? Because there was a time when there were Cthulhu books, and it wasn't a trend. It has definitely ballooned since then. The fact is, I think that people like the design of the thing, and there's a mystery to the name. The mythos is pretty interesting, but I think it's also one of those things that just happened to hit at the right time, and it's a trend. I don't see it as a trend that's going to last. In no way like superheroes, of course, there's no comparison. Not like sexy covers for sure. But it's certainly a current trend, and one that I think is worth, again, embracing and making fun of ruthlessly.
Yeah, that might be the best part, is the culture that goes with it.
Yeah.
You know, we were saying before that, and of course, what do I know? But I mean, I've read a little bit of it, and you know, Lovecraft isn't the easiest read either. The material's really dense and stuff.
Yeah.
So it just, in some ways, it's weird to me that the pop culture sensation didn't become like, well, I mean, I guess I almost said zombies, but I guess zombies did become a thing.
Oh yeah, it has. I mean, vampires had their time too, you know.
Oh yeah.
I've been saying for years, the next one, of course, is robots, and you know, of course, my book is a thinly veiled anti-AI screed.
Yeah, man. We're definitely going to see a lot of content about AI coming soon, probably. Hopefully, some still written by us.
Right.
Exactly.
Tell you what, that would actually make a great writing question. Let's do that one real quick. Steve, what do you think of the? Let me make sure I ask this the right way. People at first weren't too worried about the AI invading the writing space. And here's the reason why. Because it couldn't quite write like Hemingway, and it couldn't quite sound like, you know, Raymond Carver. There wasn't a way to really duplicate it. But then, of course, AI started coming for art and advancing really rapidly. We've seen that already. The second thing, of course, is music. You probably already heard this one too. There's a guy releasing these AI Beatles songs. Hey, make it sound like the Beatles. And man, does it sound like the Beatles.
Wow.
The next thing, of course, make this sound like Hemingway. What's your thoughts on AI invading the writing space? Should we be afraid or not?
I don't think we should be afraid in the sense that, you know, it's going to take over. It's not going to be this Terminator future type thing. But I think we should be concerned, because original ideas, original thoughts are I think that's what's in jeopardy, is that idea. You know, now anyone can come along. I've played around with it just to see it, and then I just totally got rid of it because I had heard so much about it. I was curious. I was playing around with it one day, and I just said, write a fight scene between an elf and an orc in the style of J.K. Rowling, and it did a pretty decent job. And then I said, do the same scene, but write it in the style of Brandon Sanderson, and you could see a noticeable difference. I was actually surprised at the noticeable difference. I mean, was it great? Was it perfect? No, but I think you know, it's getting a lot of hype right now, and I'm not gonna mess with it. I think it's gonna be. I think if anything, it'll just be a distraction So I don't know how it's going to affect us as writers in the future, or if we're going to be competing with that. I can't imagine we would, because I think most people, if you have a choice, so you're going to want to read something that's written by AI, or you're going to want to read something that's written by somebody you can talk to.
Pat, what's your 2 cents on that? AI is a terrifying invasion, or it's a tool that we can use?
I think, Stephen, what you said at the end, I completely agree with. I hope that you're right about what you said at the beginning. That's my only concern. I feel like, as far as entertainment goes, people are largely interested in creators' takes on things. That's why, you can get something like someone like right now, AI Drake is big. People like the music that creators are making, and really what it is, it's not AI making the music. It is a rapper writing and recording the track with their voice and putting on a filter that does an AI take of Drake's voice and plays it over it. So that sounds good because the human is also doing it too. It's not just AI. So people really do want the human element. The only part that scares me is the invasion of it all. Like that to me seems, we're getting people who are really knee deep in this tech saying that it's already too far gone. That I don't really love to hear, because I don't know anything about it. I don't follow this kind of stuff. I'm not interested in real life science in any way. I leave that to people who care about it and study about it. So I just listen, and I don't really like what's being said personally. So yeah.
How about you, Jason? AI?
So
For or against?
I believe, so I have the view that a book exists both as a verb and as a noun, meaning in the course of reading the book, you're moving along a linear timeline, and you're enjoying it, you're immersed. And so AI is perfectly capable of producing something within these, you can, like to your point, you could spec out some peculiar, could be some definitions and so forth, and some peculiarities, and it can perfectly generate something that's readable, right? And that fits within whatever your recipe was. However, so as a verb, it can create a book. However, where literature has meaning is that having completed the book, having gotten to the end of it, you've shared the author's vision and their commentary on the human condition and so forth. And then the book is either worthy of the bookshelf, right? You hold on to it, you cherish it, you refer back to it, or you just give it to half price books and you get rid of it, you recycle it or whatever. It's like, oh man, I wasted my time, right? So what I believe is that the AI can produce something that's readable, but I do not believe that the AI is going to produce anything that I'm going to want to keep on my bookshelf, right? Because it's going to lack the human and whatever. And there's a thing going around about this. The AI is never going to be able to write Hamlet. Well, my response is most of the people writing couldn't write Hamlet, right? So that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that in these constant iterations of creativity, and we're all doing this for our own personal expression, for commerce and so forth. The point is, at the end of the day, as the reader, when you close that book, do you want to hold on to that book, and is it part of you? And do you reflect back on it? Does it land on your bookshelf, or is it just dust in the wind? And I don't think AI is going to do anything but dust in the wind.
Well said. Good answer, Jason. I'll just make mine quick. I am staunchly anti-AI. So one last question. We'll go around, guys. We're almost to our time. That's just about the hour already. Thanks so much, everybody, for sharing these great tips. And it's always great to hear from other creators. Steve, I want to hear a little bit more about the next step for piercing the veil. And then tell us what you got in the works, where we can find you.
So I have the Veil Saga book 2 is being written right now. I'm like I said, I'm hoping that it'll be out in maybe a year, maybe 2 at the most. I'm hoping. It all depends.
Beautiful book. Beautiful.
I don't expect to be somebody who doesn't finish finish the trilogy like some authors we know. So I'm definitely, it may take a little longer than I would want it, but like I said, but yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's been well received by so many people. The reviews have been really great so far. So I've been excited about that. And yeah, you can reach me at thebaronsaga.com. There's links to the book. There's links to other resources there as well for authors, and a really cool project that I started called the Shared World Project, where I like to reach out and help young writers, people who want to be
Nice.
to write, and kind of coach them through that.
Cool. I appreciate that, Steve. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Next up, Pat Shand. We'll give one last shout out here. This is for I Summoned Cthulhu to fund my Kickstarter. You got 24 hours to go. This thing sounds like a ton of fun. Viewers, go over there and check that out right now. That's your call to action. It looks like a terrific book. Pat, tell us what you got cooking after this. You've always got 10 things going.
After this, I am continuing my Cheeky Comics annual campaign. That is tinyurl.com/cheekyannual. That is some not safe for work stories that launch 3 titles from this new adult comic book imprint. And then on Tuesday, if Kickstarter is able to approve it quick enough, because this is our quickest turnaround ever, we're doing the hardcover for As of the Barbed. That was a series that I did with Rio Burton in single issues first, and now it is being collected in hardcover. We're doing that one together. It's going to be a beautiful hardcover with hopefully foil stamp on there. And I personally can't wait. That is about a banished warrior sort of coming to terms with, am I going to go back to the town that pushed me out and save people from this immense evil that's coming their way? Or am I going to, so that's launching on Tuesday.
Yeah, I've actually seen some of the preview art for that book. And just one quick question. Do you keep like a notebook or something with all these amazing artists in it? How do you get hooked up to these teams?
I met Rio through an artist named Emily Pearson, who drew Snap Flash Hustle with me. She was the artist and co-creator on that through Black Mask Studios. So sometimes it's artists approaching me. Other times I'm going through Kickstarter and looking at what artists are doing what there, who are strong voices that haven't really been discovered yet that I want to, work with and create long-term collaborations with. And sometimes, there are just people who say, hey, check this artist out, or I'll see it on a book. I'll go, oh, that's beautiful art. And hopefully we go.
Nice. Well, thanks for sharing that. And thanks for the information that you shared tonight. Viewers, that's I Summoned Cthulhu to fund my Kickstarter. Definitely recommend checking it out. And for creators too, you can get in on that coaching deal, which seems like a no-brainer. The numbers speak for themselves. Thanks for coming, Pat.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. So,
Jason, I'm going to give you the last word, buddy. Tell us a little bit about what you got cooking, and tell us why Jupiter is the coolest book.
So Jupiter is 40 pages, full color for $9. It's on Indiegogo and Kickstarter. The Indiegogo campaign's over $5,000. So we satisfy the stretch goal. So if you back Jupiter for $9, you're going to get the Captain Kleinbottle fan club membership card. This is a 24-point PVC. And again, Captain Kleinbottle is the Jack Kirby inspired character who's kind of cool, he's a component of Jupiter. He's the comic within the comic, and he's kind of an inspiration to the main characters. But 40 pages, full color for $10. And then there's a lot of variant covers going around out there. Marvel and DC trying to get you to buy the same book twice. Well, if you like a variant cover, you just have to buy my book one time. You get the variant cover. So go check it out and check out the trailers. Enjoy yourselves and go back. Call of the Cryptids. I did. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys. And I just want to say in closing, thanks so much, guys, for coming on the show. It's a great opportunity for all creators, including myself, to be able to learn more about this challenging field that we live in. So thank you once again. This has been an episode of the Creative Cranium. Hope to see you next Thursday. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.